Ow, 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 ow. Crap. Forgot the camera. East side gutter is done. Welcome back, guys. I am exhausted. 2 nights ago, I single-handedly, I suppose, did all the east side gutters at night in about 40-degree weather. I have not felt crappier for a very long time. Basically, it hurts to lift anything up. So, I did check. It's been raining for 2 days straight, and obviously this still leaks, but east side gutter is done. Welcome back, guys, and welcome to a very familiar but torturous process here. This side has been leaking a little bit since the beginning, so that's why I kind of wanted to take care of this, but it's just been constantly raining or freezing cold, so I haven't really gotten too much time to do this, but now it's kind of forcing me to do this, and I've sped up a lot of this to avoid wasting any of your time. And if you want to see how the process is done in a more in-depth, you can always look at my earlier videos where you hear a lot of grunting and a lot of crying. So anyways, this membrane is actually in pretty much the same, if not worse condition, but there are a lot of repair spots, and they use some sort of extremely sticky tar, so it was kind of difficult to get off, so I had to use a multi-tool to kind of scrape everything off. But essentially, this entire side was surprisingly in much worse condition to the other one that I did at first. The first one I did, just the membrane was kind of peeling up, and there's some cracks in some areas. This probably has at least 10 times the amount of cracks in about the same amount of gutter distance. And whatever they tried to pour on this, which kind of explains how many repair sections there are, that explains the extra tar everywhere. Another development here that's not great. This is the east side. You can see this is all wet. So I don't know where it's leaking from because the ceiling looks dry. Location has been determined. If you look, this has happened before too. It's actually dripping through this crack. And then it's dripping onto here. And you can see this has been here before. So I think this is that east side gutter that I just literally replaced all the membrane out of. And then it started raining. So that is definitely not watertight. I might have to go up there and do a wet patch today just to kind of slow it down. The rain did slow down for a few hours, so I decided it might be better just to do it all at once instead of doing a patch and then doing the leveler on top of that. Here's just me filling up the barrels for water for the first pump. Now this is ready for pumping. I've transferred everything into here, which is connected to our sump pump, which is connected to this garden hose, which is then connected through this hose all the way up to the 3rd floor. Moment of truth to see if our system works. Try 2. Ready to pump, over. Better? One horsepower, double the horsepower, constant stream. Still very slow, but better than doing it by carrying it up the stairs. Old fashioned way. Don't want to add too much. There we go. So despite how slow this was, I personally think this was still easier than lifting every single gallon up 3 flights of stairs and dumping them into this bucket. What you see me dumping the water into is my pressure wash bucket, which we built in, I think, episode 2 of Side Quests. So it is slow going. As you can see, it's been a while and it's just slowly shooting out. I'm gonna go downstairs, check on some things, and I will not bore you with all the details, but this one is semi-filled, and that should be enough just because this is easier to move this way. And this will be the transfer barrel, so this will get filled up. I'm gonna go downstairs and check it out. I mean, you can hear this thing's pumping. Not very fast, 1 horsepower to pump that slowly up there. We got about 30 foot ahead, so it's got to overcome all that, and it does look like it probably is also leaking water, or maybe that's just vibration. Hold on. Oh, yep. It's also leaking. Oh, that took a really, really long time just to get that much water, but I would call that a success. This big tumor just came off, and there's a repair spot here. So I got my Jiggly Wiggly tool, aka the multi-tool, to scrape some of that, which has been going well. I did try heat, which actually made it worse, surprisingly. It was more sticky. So that's a top tip for anyone doing this. Use a multi-tool with a scraper blade. And we have a visitor. Hey, Boost! Here's that multi-tool in action with a scraper on it. It did actually help a lot with some of this very stubborn repair patch tar. My goal isn't really to get it all off, but to get most of it off so it's loose. I'm just blowing the water towards the downspout there with the blower. My Milwaukee vac kind of took a dump. You saw it kind of spewing out water vapor from the other side, which it's not supposed to do that. I don't think I put too much water in it, but it does say it can do wet or dry, so I'm not really quite sure what happened there. So I'm just letting that dry out and picking up all the membrane pieces, getting it back down to bare copper, which is happening here. This side is done. It just needs to be power washed and cleaned. I mean, I don't think it looks too bad myself. We got more on that side, and I just got to clean up this side. So this side actually doesn't necessarily need to be cleaned right now. This is part of the section that I already did. But part of this section actually is slanted towards that corner, so I just don't want all of these leaves going down into the silicone just in case the wind blows or stuff like that. So I always like to come over here and clean this up when I'm up here, just because why not while I'm in there. The white actually is very interesting because the slate apparently is relatively stained, so you can see a lot of staining on top of this. Power wash should get this nice and clean. That's not a huge concern of mine right now. It's pretty good in terms of sealing the water out. So here I am just cleaning up the rest of that, and there's still a piece of membrane over here around the corner that I want to cut slightly up. That way when the water goes down, it rushes up against some silicone instead of the bare copper here. So here I am just clawing away and pulling all of this stuff away. This side actually wasn't as bad. I think this side just had a lot of humidity underneath it. So it's coming up somewhat easy. So I'm just going to speed this process up because we've all seen this before. So just chipping away back to the bare copper here, and I'm going to shop vac that up and get everything nice and clean. Once everything's clean, we're going to run a TSP cleaner. So this is basically to spray down chemically and clean all the surfaces before bonding. So after this is cleaned, we go back and power wash it. So this process was done multiple times just to kind of assess like the color of the water coming off and how dirty it was to the touch. So you want the bonding surfaces to be pretty clean. That way you're not going to have any sort of uplift in the future. So here it is, just power washing all of the gutters here. There are still some cracks from what I can see in the actual pan here, but I'm trying to basically get all of that cleaned and then use this paper towel to kind of dry up certain areas that I do see cracks. I don't want that going back into the house, even though it's probably a very, very minimal amount of water that will eventually evaporate through the walls. It is the middle of the night. Time to mix up another bucket of dough batter. It's nice and smooth, but not super thick. So per recommendation from the manufacturer, we have added 3 quarts of water to half a gallon. So I've skipped a lot over here. This is basically the next day after I've already done 1 pour of leveling concrete. And here I'm just using a trowel to kind of like trowel everything nice and smooth,
try to make a small indentation where the downspout is. I did add a lot of fiberglass filler to this to ensure it's stronger and doesn't crack on its own weight and flexion. So this section has 3 downspouts, which was super annoying. And this is, after that pour, this is the polyester fabric that is used for reinforcing the silicone. And I'm just cutting all of that up, wrapping it up, getting it ready. Each one of these sections is approximately 11 feet, and it is 8 inches wide. So we're back on the gutter. The sun has already gone down here, so here's the final part where I use the blower to blow it, and then I wipe everything clean, essentially with some paper towels. This has already been cleaned, I think probably 3 times with TSP cleaner, with a good soaking and a power washing in between. I've let it dry for probably about maybe 6 to 7 hours, and then I came back with a blower again to kind of blow it off. So since I'm working at night, the camera is really not great here. I do this entire section. It's about 40 degrees outside. I am freezing. My knees hurt, my back hurts, but I know in the next 4 days it should be raining continuously, and I don't want any more water to get in, and this is my 12-hour window that I could really get this done. So if it doesn't get done right now, I don't know what else it's going to get done. So this is technically considered my first coat. I'm doing a coat underneath and a coat above to infuse and soak this fabric in. So that's why you see me not going fully up the wall. Generally speaking, the pan itself is the only part that's really going to see any significant amount of water. So you want to make sure that is watertight. Everything else is secondary.
Hi everyone, happy Thanksgiving. Hope everyone is well. I wanted to kind of shortly interrupt this video to talk about one of my hobbies and something that I actually kind of use a lot, and that's 3D printing. So most of you that follow the channel know I do a lot of 3D printing stuff on the side, and well, maybe you might not know because I haven't really showed it too much because none of the stuff we do in the house necessarily requires 3D printing. But I do use 3D printing for a lot of mock-ups, tools, templates, stuff like that, especially for, you know, doing one-off things in the house and projects I have. So I'm no stranger to 3D printing. So when Bambu Labs reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to try out one of their printers, they actually left it with me for a couple months, and I never made a video about it. But finally, now that I've had a couple, you know, I would like to say probably 3 or 4 months now to kind of like use some of their machines and get acquainted with them, I would like to kind of show you, you know, some of the stuff that I do. Oh, this is actually the basement of the house I live in, and, you know, it's really dingy. It's not a huge house. It's about 900 square feet. And I have quite a few printers down here. So I have this guy, which I've had for a long time. These are one of my first printers. And then this is the new Bambu Labs A1. I do have the AMS light module, which allows you to put 4 different colors in. And I wanted this because my old printer over here, as you see, also has 4 different colors in. And I'm not saying this just to say this, but this has been one of the best printers I've used so far. It has a lot of bells and whistles, and it's really affordable. It has linear rails, which is really nice, instead of having rods, which are significantly less accurate. It has a removable build plate, and also it has tons of features. I probably couldn't explain all the features with you in a video because I haven't even gotten through them, but it prints very well. It has a lot of good features of compensation, stuff like that. And I wanted to make this video now just because they're having a Black Friday sale right now where there's a significant discount. If anyone has been thinking about getting into 3D printing, I think this is probably the machine you should try out because it does so many cool things. An automatic tip cleaner. It has this, which cleans the tip as well, self-leveling, and tons of features I can't really go through. If you wanted to check this thing out, check out my link down below. They're having a Black Friday sale right now.
And if you guys have any other questions, feel free to message me. I've been printing for over 10 years, so generally I'll be able to help you find your answer if not. Thanks.
Hey everyone, we are back at the school, and what we're doing right now is, I don't know what she's looking at. She's just looking out the window. Anyways, what we're looking at is some of the leaks. 2 days ago, I did all the gutters in the middle of the night. And that was the only time I had to do them. And it was supposed to rain for 3 days straight. So it did indeed rain for 3 days straight. And This guy here is still leaking, and I can show you how much water came out of there. It's not particularly a ton, but it's not nothing. This didn't seem like it leaked much more, but it is still leaking. So those are things that we need to deal with. Now, I'm going to go down and check out the most important part, which is seeing if that side of the gutter leaked. So let's go take a look. I'll meet you guys over there. So, as you guys remember, I still heard a few drips in the kitchen from the previous leak. I also left the heaters on for 3 days. So we're gonna just take a gander in here. It actually does not look like any additional water came through. Just a few drops from prior, which was because the gutter was ripped out. Let's go check on the second floor. That was the wettest. All right, second floor. Probably the worst situation. Let's see if those heaters turned off. They did. They did turn off. I don't know if this is from before or after. That was a lot of water. This doesn't seem like that much. You can see the wood is bowing in this area. It's been bowing. I'm gonna dump the water out on that. Keep an eye on that, because I should have dumped it last time, but I didn't. Really should have emptied the water out on that last time. I was so preoccupied and so tired that day that I just went ahead and did everything I could. This side looks like it's drying out. It's not as wet for sure, so that's good news. The other side, unsure. Might be residual water. And then let's go check out the roof. Here is the entire section that was done. So that side looks okay. And let's turn you guys around. That side looks okay too. There's still a little bit of pooling, which is understandable, but this is the first coat. And realistically, this was the first coat, but it was enough to keep everything, sorry, just closing the window. This was the first coat, but it was enough to keep everything dry, because in theory, you're only supposed to apply 1 coat of this. I've just been applying 2 coats. If I'm up there already, I might as well do 2 coats. It's better than 1. I do have the same stuff in a caulking gun, and this is to fill any of those cracks and imperfections that the brush or roller cannot get to. So it seems like, I would say that's a success. I think the east side gutter is done-ish. It does need another coat, since I only did 1 coat on that, but I did do a pretty liberal coat. So it shouldn't be leaking, and if it is leaking, it's definitely leaking from somewhere else, because that was actually a pretty bad section. There were tons of actual cracks in the copper pan, which I didn't necessarily show because I was in a rush to get it done. Like I said, I think I knocked it out in 4 hours or so 2 nights ago, because I was planning on doing some other stuff, but I was like, for the daylight, I have to do this. So one of the things I had to do was the electric company came by and cut down some trees. And originally I thought those trees might be diseased like the other ones, but they weren't. One was completely dead, but I don't know what the reason was that it died, because the trunk looked really healthy. It just dried out and all the bark was peeling off. I guess since it still is raining outside, we might do some other stuff around the house. I might consider doing some more prep work. I had to prep all the gutter stuff in advance, but I did it the same day, so I actually lost a lot of sunlight. I should probably prioritize what I can do in the daytime. The only downside is it's raining right now, so daytime doesn't really help me too much. All right, so east side gutter is done. I've not done winterized house yet. I think probably the next priority, is really box up the utility room windows. I see that as a priority, but realistically speaking, it's been like that for 3 years. It's been open. Oh man, this window is so drafty. It's been 3 years, and they've just been like that. So I think any damage that has been done has already been done. So kind of a priority, kind of not a priority, because I haven't turned the water back on. If I turned the water back on, this would definitely be way up top of the list. Same thing with the heat pipe stuff. This is currently happening. So these rooms are being heated to 50. There's space heaters in there that are thermostatically controlled. I think setup security system is something we might be able to do at least a little bit of. Not necessarily everything, but I would like to be able to set up some of the systems. Right now we have a few security cameras like just sitting around. They're like free floating. So they all connect to Wi-Fi and stuff like that, but they record to SD card, so it's not super, I think my dog is barking outside. Yeah, it's not super, I don't know, it's not a very intuitive system because they're all different cameras and you have to run different apps to view them all. You can't just view them all in the same place. Because of that, that's why I want to set up the security system. Plus, I guess we'll move on to something else. And happy Thanksgiving, everyone, because today is Thanksgiving. And it's snowing outside. So I think that might be a wrap for this episode. Hope you guys have a good holiday weekend. And try to stay warm and safe, unless you're from the South. In that case, enjoy the weather.